Have you ever heard about the witch and her pet wolf living in a dense forest? In the heart of the wilderness, where trees towered like ancient giants and the air hummed with the song of 1,000 unseen creatures, there was a witch. She had made her home in this forest for over 200 years, nestled close to a gushing water resource. The water, clear and pure, gave her an abundance of resources, and she had a collection of myriad medicines. These potions and brews were her secret to longevity, to her 2 centuries of life. Living in solitude, her only company was an extraordinary wolf, her faithful companion. She had raised him from the time he was a small, helpless cub, his mother tragically killed by some vicious beast of the wild while protecting her baby. From that day forward, the witch took him under her care, nurturing him with a mother's love. The wolf, in turn, was fiercely loyal to the witch. He was obedient and loving, his eyes often reflecting a depth of understanding that was almost human. He was more active and powerful than any other wolf in the wild, his strength a testament to the care and love he received. Together, they were an unlikely pair, a witch and a wolf, living in the heart of the dense forest, their days marked by the rhythm of nature, and their nights lit by the glow of the witch's fire. As the seasons changed and time wore on, something unexpected happened. The wolf fell prey to an unknown disease, a sickness that seemed to sap his strength and dim the light in his eyes. The witch, alarmed by the sudden illness of her companion, started her research to develop a potent medicine, something that could cure him and restore his vitality. In the heart of the forest, they lived, the witch and her faithful companion, the wolf. Their story was just beginning, a tale of love, loyalty, and the mysterious ways of the wild. Little did they know their lives were about to take a turn for the extraordinary. One day the wolf, the witch's only friend, fell ill. The once vibrant creature that roamed the forest with an unmatched vitality was now a shadow of its former self. His eyes, once gleaming with life, were now dull and listless. His powerful limbs, which had once carried him swiftly through the dense undergrowth, were now weak and trembling. It was a sight that struck a chord of fear in the heart of the witch. She had seen many ailments in her 2 centuries of life, but this was something entirely different. The wolf's symptoms were unlike anything she had ever encountered. His fever ran high, his breath came in labored gasps, and his once lustrous coat was now matted and lifeless. It was clear to her that this was no ordinary sickness. Desperate to save her only companion, the witch threw herself into her research. She pored over ancient tomes, scoured the forest for rare herbs, and spent countless hours experimenting with various potions and elixirs. She was determined to not only identify the cause of the wolf's illness, but also to find a cure. Days and nights blurred into one as she toiled away in her humble abode. She boiled roots, crushed leaves, and distilled flowers in her quest to concoct a potent medicine. She was tireless in her efforts, driven by a sense of urgency that she had never felt before. The witch knew that time was running out for her beloved wolf. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, she managed to brew a medicine that she believed could cure the wolf. The potion was a vibrant green, its aroma a mix of earthy herbs and the sweet scent of wildflowers. She had put all her knowledge, all her hope into this one concoction. And so she brewed a potent medicine, oblivious of the danger that lurked around the corner. Little did she know her desperate attempt to save her friend was about to take a turn for the worse in a way she could never have imagined. But that, dear listeners, is a tale for another scene. As she was boiling the medicine, an unexpected visitor hopped in. From the nearby water source, a frog, seemingly drawn by the heat, made its way towards the witch and her boiling pot. Its small body glowed under the flickering firelight, its eyes wide and curious. Oblivious to the danger it was leaping towards, the frog made a daring leap, aiming for the bubbling brew. But the witch was not one to be taken by surprise. With reflexes honed over 200 years, she whipped out her dagger and in a swift fluid motion, struck the intruding amphibian. The sharp blade pierced through the frog, sending it flying away, its intended destination now a distant dream. However, in the heat of the moment, the witch overlooked a crucial detail. As the dagger had pierced the frog, a few droplets of its blood had splattered into the simmering pot. The blood, invisible against the dark concoction, began to merge with the brew, altering its properties in ways the witch could not foresee. Meanwhile, the witch, satisfied with her quick response, cleaned her dagger and continued with her task, oblivious to the change that had occurred. She stirred the mixture, unknowingly blending the frog's blood further into the medicine. The aroma of the brew filled the air, a strange, intoxicating scent that belied the unseen contamination. Hours passed, the witch tirelessly working to perfect the medicine for her dear friend. The fire under the pot danced and flickered, casting eerie shadows around the forest dwelling. The wolf, weak and suffering, waited patiently for the concoction that would hopefully bring relief. Finally, the witch deemed the medicine ready. She poured the thick liquid into a wooden bowl, the steam rising in the cool forest air. Walking over to her ailing companion, she gently coaxed the wolf to drink. The wolf, trusting and obedient, lapped up the medicine, oblivious to the alteration caused by the frog's blood. Unaware of the frog's blood in the mixture, she fed the medicine to the ailing wolf. Little did she know, this act would set in motion a series of events beyond her wildest imagination. By the evening, the unthinkable had happened. The witch, who had spent the day brewing a cure for her beloved pet, returned to find the wolf lifeless, his once vibrant eyes now dimmed by the shroud of death. The air around her grew heavy, thick with the silence that his absence left. He was not just a pet, but a friend, a confidant, a companion in her solitary existence. In her heart, a profound sorrow began to grow, replacing the hope she had held onto throughout the day. The wolf, once full of life and energy, lay still, his breath no longer fogging up the cool evening air. The witch knelt beside him, her fingers gingerly brushing through his coarse fur, now dull and lifeless. Her heart ached with a pain she hadn't known in over 200 years, a raw, searing grief that consumed her. She remembered the tiny cub she had nursed back to health, the gleam in his eyes when he first learned to hunt, the warmth of his body curled up next to her during the cold forest nights. Her wolf had been her only companion in this dense, lonely forest, the only other living being who knew her true age, her secrets, her fears. And now, he was gone, taken from her by a disease she failed to cure. Tears welled up in her eyes, spilling over her weathered cheeks. She didn't bother to wipe them away. Instead, she let them fall, each drop a testament to her grief, her regret, her failure. She had lived for centuries, outlasting everyone she had ever known, but the loss of her wolf, her friend, felt like a wound that wouldn't heal. She cradled her face in her hands, weeping for her lost companion. The forest seemed to mourn with her, the usual nighttime symphony of chirping crickets and hooting owls replaced with a solemn silence. With the setting sun, her tears fell, mourning her loyal friend, planning to bury him the next day. But as dawn broke, she found her grief replaced with confusion. The witch, still heavy with sorrow, trudged towards the wolf's resting spot. Yet as she approached, a chilling emptiness met her gaze. The wolf's body, once cold and lifeless, was now mysteriously absent. Puzzlement twisted her features as she scanned the surrounding area, her heart pounding in the silence of the forest. The witch began a frantic search, her hands trembling as she sifted through the foliage. Her pet, her companion, was nowhere to be found. Had some creature taken him in the night, or had he somehow returned to the wild? Either possibility felt too strange to be true. She ventured deeper into the forest, the trees towering above her like silent witnesses. Her heart pulsed with a strange mix of hope and dread. Could it be possible? Could her wolf still be alive? She called out his name, her voice echoing through the dense woodland. Yet the forest remained eerily silent, offering no clue to the wolf's fate. As she searched, the forest seemed to grow denser and more mysterious. The usual sounds of wildlife were strangely muted, adding to her sense of unease. It was as if the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Hours passed, the sun making its steady journey across the sky, yet the witch's search yielded no answers. Exhausted, she finally paused, leaning against a gnarled tree trunk. The forest, once her sanctuary, now felt hostile and alien. Fear began to creep into her heart, replacing her initial confusion. What if she never found the wolf? What if she was alone in this vast wilderness? As dusk started to creep in, she returned to the spot where the wolf's body should have been, her heart heavy. The mysterious disappearance of her pet, her only friend, left her in a state of turmoil. The forest, once a place of peace, now echoed with the haunting absence of her companion. The wolf was nowhere to be found, leaving the witch in a state of bewilderment. Her heart ached with loss, but also pulsed with a strange, lingering hope. As the sun set, she couldn't help but wonder what had become of her beloved wolf. Then, a loud thud echoed behind her, making her heart race. The witch, startled, turned around to see a sight that made her blood run cold. A massive deer lay lifeless before her, its body covered in fresh blood. The shock rooted the witch to the spot, her eyes wide with disbelief and horror. The forest, once her sanctuary, now seemed ominous and threatening. In the eerie silence of the forest, the witch's mind raced, trying to piece together the puzzle. The deer was not merely dead, it was savagely attacked, ripped apart as if by a creature of immense strength and ferocity. But what could possibly possess such raw power in her forest? The witch, despite her centuries of wisdom and knowledge, was at a loss. Gathering her courage, she started scanning the surroundings, her eyes darting from one shadow to another. The forest was silent, too silent, as if holding its breath, waiting for the next piece of the puzzle to reveal itself. The witch's heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing the ticking of an unseen clock, counting down to the moment of revelation. Then in the distance her eyes caught a movement, a silhouette against the morning sun, perched atop a hill. She squinted, her heart skipping a beat as recognition dawned upon her. It was the wolf, her wolf, alive. But something was different. The wolf stood taller, its eyes gleaming with an unnatural light, its body radiating a power that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The wolf lifted its head, releasing a howl that echoed through the forest, a primal call filled with power and dominance. The witch, watching the spectacle, felt a chill run down her spine. Her beloved pet, her companion, was not just alive, it was transformed, morphed into something beyond her comprehension. And there it was, the wolf, on a hilltop, howling at the sky, alive and more powerful than ever. The realization struck the witch like a lightning bolt. The wolf was not merely a wolf anymore, it was a beast, a creature of legend, born out of an accident, a twist of fate, a shocking revelation that changed everything. But the wolf was no longer the same. This is where our tale takes a spine-chilling turn. The wolf, once obedient and endearing, was now transformed into something else entirely, a beast of the wild. The blood of the frog, inadvertently mixed into the medicine, had sparked a transformation, turning the wolf into an entity of raw power and primal instinct. Yet beneath the beast's ferocious exterior, a familiar glint in its eyes remained. It was still the wolf she had loved and cared for, but now wrapped in a form more formidable than any creature in the forest. The witch, shocked and awed, took a moment to absorb the sight. Relief washed over her like a tidal wave. Her beloved wolf was alive. But this relief was quickly replaced by a gripping fear. The beast was a symbol of untamed power, a creature whose strength and ferocity were unmatched. She had no idea how to approach it, or if it would even remember her. The beast, however, seemed to sense her presence. It turned its massive head towards her, its eyes meeting hers. There was a moment of tense silence, their gazes locked. Then, much to the witch's surprise and relief, the beast's stern expression softened, and it approached her with a gentle, familiar gait. The witch, heart pounding, reached out a hesitant hand, and the beast nuzzled into it, a soft whine escaping its throat. It was a moment of unspoken understanding and deep connection. The witch's fear gradually diminished, replaced by a newfound respect and awe for the creature that stood before her. She realized that the beast was not a monster to be feared, but a symbol of the wild's raw, untamed power. It was her wolf, but stronger, fiercer, and more majestic than she could have ever imagined. She felt a profound connection to the beast, a bond that was both thrilling and terrifying in its intensity. Life in the forest took a new turn from that day. The witch, once living in solitude, was now accompanied by a beast of unparalleled power. Their relationship evolved, marked by a deep mutual respect and a shared understanding. The witch continued her practices, her research and her life, but now with the beast by her side. The forest echoed with the beast's mighty roars, a testament to its presence and power. The witch's life was no longer the same. It was a life of constant excitement and occasional fear, a life marked by the presence of a creature that was both a part of her past and a symbol of her future. It was a life that was as unpredictable as the beast itself, a life that was both enchanting and terrifying. And so, the witch and the beast continued their lives in the forest, their bond stronger and their tale even more enchanting.